Hey guys, and welcome back to Franchise Nation. I'm your host, Moonlightswami, and today I am bringing you guys the mock draft for season number 3 of the New Orleans Saints franchise. We do not have a first round pick. We traded it to the 49ers last year, and we selected Michael Wong with that pick, which was number 2 overall, and the dividends have definitely been paying off. They hold our 28th pick in this round. We do start off in the second round, which means that you're not going to see any of our picks in this mock draft, but here is a little bit of a projection for you guys, and let's jump right into it. With the first pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Brandin Cooks, offensive tackle, Clemson. Looker's a really good player out of Clemson. He's probably the best offensive lineman in this class. He's the strongest by far. He tied with Victor Melvin, defensive tackle out of Pittsburgh, for the most bench press reps at 41. Had a great combine, looked good as a whole, good run blocker, solid pass blocker, 6'6", 330, and he fits what the 49ers need perfectly. They need to build around Vernon Adams. And you could say that they could go wide receiver here, but I do think that Brandin Cooks is too good of a prospect to pass up. On and to the number 2 spot, the Cleveland Browns select John Lair, tight end out of Tennessee. The Browns desperately need a tight end now that they have quarterback Jameis Winston. They want to build around him. And John Lair is a ridiculous prospect. He ran somewhere shot like a 4.64 40 time at his pro day. Just an absolutely phenomenal athlete. The best tight end that we have seen in years, period. Just a vertical threat. He's only 21 years old as well. He's a big guy, strong guy, and he's a force of nature. He fits perfectly for the Browns, replacing Gary Barnidge. At number 3, the Cincinnati Bengals select corner Lamar Hinton out of Auburn. The best man coverage corner in this class, 22 years old, 6 foot 181, ran a 4.49 at the combine. A little bit slower than some of the other guys who are a little down the line from him, but he's a good press corner. He's good in zone coverage, and Lamar Hinton's a very safe choice for a team that desperately needs cornerback play. Now, a lot of teams need linebackers in this draft, but unfortunately, there are not really any good ones, especially not early. So, that's definitely a need that can't be addressed from a lot of organizations. And at number 4, I have Jameel Stubblefield staying in state and going to the Tennessee Titans. He is a 6'5" wide receiver. He ran a little slow, 4.6, but he is an absolute threat in the red zone, and he can make pretty much every catch you need. If separation is his biggest issue, he can still win all of the contested catches and more, and can still turn up field. He does have a very good 3-cone. It was a top 3 in the class, so he has the agility of someone much smaller than him, even if he doesn't exactly have the speed. And at number 5, I have the New York Jets selecting Quintarius Watt, corner out of Georgia. He is your Heisman winner, and the Jets do need a corner. They need a linebacker more, but like I said, none are really available, and Watt is a phenomenal player. He is a really good press guy. He's good in man end zone, a little bit slow. Ran a 4.53, but he's also 6'2", so that kind of comes with the territory. He's an excellent fit for this Jets team, and he had a 41-inch vertical. On to number 6, the Buffalo Bills select, in my opinion, the best player in this draft, Morgan Gilraith, running back out of USC. He's 21 years old. He's only fumbled twice in his college career. He's extremely elusive, and his combine blew everybody away, running a 4.29. That is the second fastest time we've had over the past 3 years, behind only Dwayne Cleveland, who is on the New York Giants. And this kid is just a stud. 5'10", 197. Oh, my goodness, he's going to be a really, really good player. And the Bills get a steal, if you can imagine that, at number 6. On to number 7, I have Pete Looker going to the Buccaneers out of Michigan State. While they now have their quarterback of the future still on tap, they drafted Zachary McAllister, number 1 overall last year. Looker is a possession receiver who's a little bit slow, but he is a good player, good hands, good route running. More of the Chris Hogan, Julian Edelman type than of the star-studded wide receiver, but he's still a very solid player. Probably wouldn't be my choice, but a lot of people are mocking him higher in the draft than what should be expected, so I would not be surprised to see him here. The other option would be Tyler Gunn, the route runner out of Wisconsin, who ran a 4.42, but he's probably going to go a little bit later. On to number 8, I have the Minnesota Vikings selecting Antoine Atugwe, corner out of Georgia. The second Georgia cornerback in the top 10, 5'10", 23 years old, a man coverage monster, ran a 4.42, good 3-cone, good bench press, pretty much just excellent across the board. If I had a top 10 pick, it would be him. If I had a top 10 pick and I needed a corner, it's going to Antoine Atugwe. So I think he's actually better than Lamar Hinton and company, but I really like Atugwe, and I think that the Vikings are going to definitely get a huge upgrade at corner here. And at number 9, the Denver Broncos select Jason Conrad, defensive end out of Auburn. Conrad is pretty much the only guy mocked in the first round at defensive end, and he is a pass rushing beast up the middle. He's a run stopper, but he is strong, he is powerful, and he wins in all stages. He can get to the ball carrier in the backfield, he can break through the line of scrimmage, you can throw him at a 4-3 end or a 3-4 end, and he can still be effective, and he fits what the Denver Broncos need. And at number 10, Pittsburgh Steelers select Benton Welker, offensive tackle out of Texas. Welker's a good player as well, probably a little bit better as of right now in pass blocking footwork than Looker, but he is a lesser run blocker and just a little bit slower overall. Not as much of a freak athlete, but he's still a very good player. And Benton Welker, if you had to compare him to anybody, he would remind me a lot of Ronnie Stanley coming out of college. Really talented player. I think he fits well. In at number 11, I have the Philadelphia Eagles selecting Maxie Suttle, offensive guard out of Alabama. Suttle is probably the best guard in this draft, probably best interior lineman period in this draft. 24 years old, dominant player, both in run protection and pass blocking. And that's a huge upgrade on the interior for an Eagles team that desperately needed it. On to 12. A bit of a surprise, but they do pull the trigger. The Dallas Cowboys select Rashawn Traylor, quarterback out of Georgia. He is the number 1 quarterback in this draft, and a lot of people had him being a top 5, maybe top 2 caliber player if a team needed a quarterback. None of the teams at the top of the board particularly need one, and that's where he comes in. He falls to number 12, a great situation. Dak Prescott has not been impressive enough for them, and with Rashawn Traylor here, you're not going to get an opportunity to get a top-tier quarterback at number 12 often. The Cowboys might not get another opportunity to get one. And at number 13, the Arizona Cardinals select C.J. Wilhelm, offensive tackle out of Auburn. Another good player, not as good as a run blocker as some of the other guys in this class, but he is an excellent pass blocker on the right side. Could probably throw him on the left as well. Just a talented player overall, and I think C.J. Wilhelm fits what the Cardinals need when they're definitely weak on that right side. After that, we have the Oakland Raiders at number 14. I have them selecting wide receiver Tyler Gunn out of Wisconsin. Gunn is definitely the player that I like at wide receiver. I think Stubblefield is great, and I think Locker can be good, but I really like Tyler Gunn. I think he has the good combination of speed, quickness, route running, hands that you need to be a good player in this league, and he also has the savvy to him. Good enough size, 5'11", 187, and I think he's a huge upgrade to that number 3 wide receiver spot for the Raiders. In at number 15, I have the Chicago Bears selecting Bronson Fry, tight end, Ohio State. Another 21-year-old beast at the position, ran a 4.73 with great hands, good agility, just a really talented overall player. And Fry, who's probably a mid to late first-round guy, is going to go here at 15 to the Bears, who pretty much need a tight end as much as anybody in the league right now. And that's not saying something, so I think it's a good fit for them. At 16, the New York Giants select Mylan Carson, wide receiver out of Nebraska. Carson, 5'10", 182 at 24 years old. He's a speed guy, ran a 4.35, a good 3-cone, good 20-yard. He has a lot of agility to him, and he's good off the line. His hands are a little bit lackluster, but he can make plays and gets open as good as anybody in this class. And I think he's a really good complement to Odell Beckham for this Giants team. In at number 17, I have the Houston Texans selecting Derek Lehan, corner out of LSU. He is a really good player. He's the best zone guy in this class. Ran a 4.41 despite being 6'1", 213. He's good in press. He's pretty good in man coverage. Has some agility to him. Just an overall really talented player, and he really should help out that Houston Texans team. I guess if you wanted to, you could go Nate Burgess here, but I think Le'Veon's better. And at 18, the Detroit Lions select Le'Veon Sowell, free safety out of Wisconsin. He is a 4.41, just huge hitting free safety, and I think that he could do a lot of good for this Lions team. Just an overall talented player. There really isn't too much downside to his game. Might not be the best zone player yet, but he tackles well, he's great in run support, and he flies around the field as a deep safety. And at number 19, here comes Nate Burgess, corner out of Texas A&M. Corners flying fast and furious, the top 5 off the board in the top 19 picks. The best press corner in this class. He's excellent in bump and run. Ran a 4.52, which is a little bit slow for my liking, but he's still adequate in man coverage, and he's really good at the line of scrimmage. In at number 20, I have the Indianapolis Colts selecting Otha Moncrief out of Alabama, defensive tackle. Moncrief is pretty much the only interior defender that should be going in the first round. I think you can make a case for maybe Ransford to it, but Moncrief is just such a dominant run stopper up the middle. He's fast, ran a 4.92 for a defensive tackle. That's really, really solid. Bench press of 40, second strongest in the class, so he's going to win with power. He has good agility. He has good broad jump to him. The best in the class at the position. Just a savvy player, and when you get interior defenders from Alabama, you know what to expect. On to 21, I have the Atlanta Falcons selecting Mike Tuitt, wide receiver out of Oregon. 6'3", 202 at 24 years old. Excellent off of the line. Excellent at the catch point. Ran a 4.43 at that size. He is a mismatch and a threat, and the Falcons desperately need someone to pair with Julio Jones. It's been their downfall, despite the fact that they've been winning games. Yes, their defense still needs some work, but when you have an opportunity to get a wide receiver like Mike Tuitt here, you really can't pass it up. Next up, I have the Kansas City Chiefs selecting Clifton Havner, quarterback out of Oregon. Havner's an interesting player because he is a bit of a mobile guy. Didn't run the fastest 40 time, a 4.85, but he's still a good player. Has some pretty good throw power, decent on the run, decent short. I think you could make a case for Connor Levine here as well because they ran very similar just overall numbers at the combine. But I think Havner's a good player, not a great player. I think there is probably room for other positions, but if they're not sold on Cortez Meeks, which it seems they aren't, he's a pretty solid fit here. After that, we have the Rams selecting Connor Levine. So back-to-back quarterbacks go. Like I said, I think Levine might be a little bit better, but I think the Chiefs probably would prefer Havner in that situation. Levine has the strong arm that you want, good throw on the run, good short. Just an overall talented player. Might not be the best quarterback in the world immediately. Might need to develop him a little bit, but he's still a really good player. At 24, I have the New England Patriots going wide receiver, going Kelvin Surtain out of Florida State. 6'6", 22 years old. He is phenomenal at the catch point. He's a slower player, 4.62, nowhere near as agile as someone like Jameel Stubblefield, but he is still a really talented player. And if you throw him to the outside with Gronk on the inside, Edelman and all these guys, that is a dangerous combination for Tom Brady, potentially going into his final season. I could also see them going quarterback here just because he is getting older. I think Tyrone Beck could fit what they want. Good throw power, pretty good speed to him, good on the run, good short. Really fits their style of offense, but only time will tell. After that, I have the Baltimore Ravens selecting Keir Newkirk, wide receiver out of Northern Iowa. I thought they would go LaJarvis Ball last season, but he ended up falling to the Eagles. The Ravens still need a wide receiver, and Keir Newkirk out of Northern Iowa is a very good player. Ran a 4.39, good agility, good release, good hands. Very good in traffic. He's a guy who can really move the sticks, and if you give him the opportunity, will turn up field and make you pay. After that, I have the San Diego Chargers selecting outside backer Tyson Reese out of Ole Miss. Reese is an interesting player because he hits hard, and he's not so much of a pass rusher, but he can use that as part of his game. He's a really talented player and probably the best run stopper at the linebacker position this season. Really good, hits really, really hard as well. So he fits probably what they want to do. You may be able to throw him on the inside if you want, or just keep him on the outside and see what can be done. Either way, he's a good player, and he fits what San Diego needs at a time where, if you look at the Chargers' needs, they could go free safety here. I mean, it's definitely a possibility, being that, I don't know. There aren't that many free safeties at this spot. There are more strong safeties that are this quality. I guess you could say Sean Whitehurst could be a fit, but I don't think he's as good or really worth it at this spot. Outside of that, I don't think San Diego has many other options either. Tackles are a little bit thin at this point. So after that, we take a look at 27. The Seattle Seahawks select Sam Cartwright, offensive tackle out of Clemson. Cartwright is a good player, not the best in the world. He's a late first rounder. He's a good run blocker. And while you could see someone like the Chargers taking him the pick before, I do think he will fall and Cartwright will go to Seattle. He is actually the best run blocker most likely in this class. A little bit slow, but he is strong. He can move defenders, and definitely someone who can fit that Seattle Seahawks team, and they need help there. They could also go wide receiver, but I think there's pretty much a drop-off now that Newkirk is off the board. And at 28, I have the San Francisco 49ers selecting Nolan McCollum, right guard out of Georgia. McCollum, 6'4", 305. He's an early second-round projected guy, but I think the 49ers want to really improve that offensive line for Vernon Adams because he gets hit so much. And why not go with the best pass-blocking right guard in the class? He's not the best run blocker in the world, but he is a good player as a whole, and I do expect him to have a pretty good overall season, career, etc. I think he fits the 49ers, and they go 2 offensive linemen. In at 29, I have Trey Morton going to the Redskins. Little bit of a reach here. He's a mid-second guy, but he's a really good speed rusher. Good speed to him. Great with his hand in the dirt. Probably can play outside backer in a 3-4 as well. Just an overall talented player. At 30, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars going best player available, and they go Taylor Teal, strong safety out of USC. He's big, he's strong, he can cover, and he can hit hard. 6'4", 4'9", 40. He covers a lot of ground and lays the wood into people. He is a dangerous player, and he just absolutely upgrades that Jaguar secondary. At 31, I have the Miami Dolphins going Barry Ruffin, corner, Ohio State. A bit of a project, but he has everything you need in terms of size. 6'4", 214 at 22 years old. He is pretty good at man and zone coverage. A little bit slow, but he has good agility to him. 4.57, but a good change of direction at 6.79 for the 3-cone. A little weak for my liking, only 12 on the bench press, but still a good player, and just at the point where corners are fading, the Dolphins do get one of their primary needs. And lastly, we have the Green Bay Packers selecting Silas Potter, strong safety out of Ole Miss. Another big hitting guy, a little bit slower, ran a 4.62, but he hits hard, he can tackle well, and he just kind of adds some extra depth to that team, kind of fills that Morgan Burnett role for them. And I think he could be a really, really good player, and pairing him with Clinton Dix and company, I think that's going to be a huge deal for the defending Super Bowl champs. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm Moonlightswami, and this was the mock draft. The actual draft will be on Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace!